Hi, everyone. My name is Jill, and this is Small Business Social. This channel is dedicated to helping you discover your own personal business model and simplifying the process of creating, marketing, and building that business. So, since this is my first video, I thought that I would introduce myself and tell you a little bit about my journey. As you can see by the title, I was in the Miss America Pageant, survived cancer twice, and now I'm an entrepreneur with a few different streams of income. I grew up in Ridgefield, Connecticut, which is probably the most beautiful town in America. And I went to a small college called Norwich University in rural Vermont, where I earned a BS degree in business. I was a cheerleader throughout high school and college, and that provided me with just enough dance and tumbling skills to be able to handle the talent portion of the Miss Vermont pageant. So my cheerleading coaches at the time talked me into giving it a try. And to both mine and my family's surprise, I actually won. I was able to go to the Miss America pageant that September. That was during my junior year in college, and that was an incredible opportunity for a girl from, small town New England. And it really builds your confidence level, and you can't have any fear anymore because you're on stage and there's millions and millions of people watching this pageant on TV. So one of the things that it gave me was the ability to speak in public without any fear at all. I actually think it's fun. So thank you, Miss America organization, for that. After college, I worked for an airline in several different capacities, and I absolutely love this job. To this day, this is probably one of my favorite jobs I've ever had. The airline was called People Express Airlines, and it was based in Newark, New Jersey. And People Express hired recent college graduates and gave us all the position of customer service manager. They trained us in multiple different departments, in-flight, meaning flight attendant, gate agent, ticket agent, baggage claim agent. I even worked in operations at one point. I really had to learn to think on my feet at People Express. As a 22-year-old girl and this small little person, I had 200 stranded passengers screaming at me one day, to the point where I actually had to stand on one of the counters to kind of get control of the situation. And kind of to my surprise, I did get control of the situation. And not everyone's happy, but I handled it and took care of most of those people, and that was pretty cool. One of the most difficult situations I faced during that time was a specified bomb threat on a flight that I was working. Fortunately, that was a hoax and nothing ended up happening, but we did have to land in Jacksonville. They parked us way out in the middle of the runway, and we had to deplane and get everybody off the plane far out away from the terminal. So thankfully everything worked out okay, but you got to learn not to panic in that situation, and that's not easy to do. So the other thing I think that I learned from People Express was how to be a great teammate. People Express hired a lot of great people. We all kind of stuck together. We all helped each other out. We all were there for each other on a grand scheme, and you don't see that very often anymore. Shortly after I got hired, probably a year and a half, we relocated to Northern Virginia, and People Express was sold to Continental Airlines. I was responsible for hiring all the gate agents, ticket agents, basically anyone that did the ground operation handled that, baggage claim agents as well. So it gave me a really good insight into what are the skills and the characteristics of people that you want to work with, people that are good at their job, people that will stick around. Not wanting to travel anymore, I decided to look for another job, and I was fortunate enough to be hired by Senator Jim Jeffords, who at the time was a Republican senator from the state of Vermont, and I was his executive assistant in his Capitol Hill office. This was during the Gulf War period of time, so you got to see a lot of what the constituents felt about the war and what their concerns were, and how they wanted him to vote on different issues, and hear a lot from the folks in Vermont. I was also his liaison on the Senate Arts and the Senate Tourism caucuses, which was a lot of fun. I think it was a great experience because Jim Jeffords did what was right, period. I really respected him for that. Character and conviction in life is absolutely everything. So seeing him display that characteristic in a very difficult situation was very enlightening for somebody who was still under 30 years old at the time. I left this job to become a full-time mom to my beautiful baby girl, Jordan, and 3 years later to my beautiful baby boy, Tanner. As all of you parents know, you have no idea how much you can love someone until you have a child or two of your own. My kids are grown now. They are 26 and 22, and they're both amazing people. I'm so lucky to have both of them in my life. And they've taught me a lot, both personally and professionally. And an interesting side note, they are both very successful entrepreneurs, as is my 82-year-old father, who also has a YouTube channel. But more on that later. So staying home with the kids was my number one priority, as my husband's as well. But he had a job, good job, and he had good benefits, but life is very expensive. And after giving up my income, I had to figure something out that I could do. So as luck would have it, his company needed someone to handle their direct marketing. This is not as glamorous as it sounds. And back then, no computers. So what it meant was sticking labels on postcards, 10,000 at a time. And I took it, and it paid a whole $150 a month. But hey, I wanted to be home with my baby, and any job that would keep me there was a good job for me. So the next thing that happened was they also decided they needed someone to handle their collections. Again, not automated, just a big binder that you flip open the pages and you find the phone number and you dial the phone and talk to the person trying to collect the money that they owed at the time. And so, of course, I took on this job as well. And then the company asked me if I knew how to create newsletters, and I said yes. Then I learned. It's always been my theory to, for the most part, say yes and then figure it out. So I did. I created their newsletter, and that taught me a whole new set of skills. So that was pretty cool. And that skill I ended up using later, which I'll tell you about next. So after several years in Northern Virginia, we relocated to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and that was for my husband's new job. So I took on several volunteer jobs at the time. I was the chairperson for the PTO at the school. Two other moms and I started a Daisy Girl Scout troop, and I was soccer team mom, t-ball team mom, you name it. And those were a lot of fun and kept me busy, but I still needed to supplement our income. So I decided to use the skills I learned from the previous job and start my own newsletter company. So this was back before social media. So it's almost like I was doing social media on paper and by mail, which is kind of interesting. So I started Fox Newsletter Services, and I designed newsletters for local businesses. And I also did a little bit of marketing materials as well, maybe a flyer, a door hanger, coupons, different things like that. It was a lot of fun. I also ended up creating all of their content, which was not the intent in the beginning, but after asking me to write a few of their articles, they decided that I could handle the whole thing. And so everybody gave me their content to write as well. So I did that as well. And they just wanted the finished product. They liked what I was doing, didn't want to have to mess with it too much. So I found a local printer who offered good prices and a good product, and worked with him to get these newsletters completed. So all the company had to do was to put the labels on them and mail them to their mailing list. The next stop for our family was Orange County, California, where we still live today. And as soon as we arrived, I started volunteering again. I took on the job of spirit wear coordinator at my kids' elementary school, and I became the team mom for more soccer, baseball, basketball, hockey teams than I can even count. And I helped in the kids' classroom. In addition, my kids started acting at that time. So I spent unbelievable amount of hours that I also couldn't add up on sets up in Los Angeles and Hollywood. Never a dull moment in our family. So I had to learn the whole child acting world. I had to learn the labor laws. what the expectations were for both the kids and the parents on the sets, and how to help the kids accept rejection, which, when they don't get a part, it's tough. My daughter was given a lead role in a TV pilot in 2006. It turned out amazing, but unfortunately, it didn't get picked up. I was asked to join a newly forming production company as a part owner. My two partners I created South OC Productions, and I handled the job of office manager and stage mom in charge of all the kids in the productions. And it was a really good experience. We filmed not only the TV pilot, but a few commercials, and one of those was actually picked up by Procter & Gamble, so that was really cool. Some corporate videos, a promo for our local cable company, and a few other things during that time. This is where I learned to create an LLC, obtain tax identification numbers, what type of insurance coverage this particular business needed, and a lot of other things. So this gave me a lot of great skills that when it was time for me to start my own company, it was pretty easy to know how to get going. About a year later, I became the manager for both my son's high school hockey team and the hockey team at the college that he was planning to attend. The one at the college, I actually started from scratch. That was a major project. During that time, I managed 50 boys on 5 teams. So it was a lot of work, a lot of learning as well. And they were great kids. So I really liked, being able to be there for them in that capacity. Learning the process of dealing with the school, the documentation required, how to work with the college to begin a new sport on campus. That was all new to me. And the biggest thing I learned from that experience was never to give up, because we hit roadblock after roadblock after roadblock trying to create this hockey team and get it started and make it an official sport at the college. The college told us no several times along the way. And every time we'd hit a problem, I would ask what the issue was and then find a way to solve it. And it took us, I can't even remember how many months to get approval, but we did. And the reward for all the hard work was seeing the boys' faces when they won the junior college national championship later that year. So it was so worth it. Shortly after that time, I was offered the job of social media manager on a contract basis, managing the social media operations for 7 different schools, all within this one company. This was another amazing job and expanded my skill set tremendously and allowed me to work from home. That's always been huge for me. That was an awesome job. But when the school company was sold, the contract ended. So here I was again without any income. So at this time, I decided I'm going to use all these skills I've developed and start my own company. So I created Fox Social Media. The truth is that I first started social media and learned it and taught myself way back in maybe 2006 or so, because I wanted to keep tabs on my oldest child. She's now 26 and she's on her own. She's a mom herself now and a great person. But she'll still tell people the story of how if she unfriended me on Facebook, she would get grounded. Starting is always the hardest part. And when I first got started, the first client I ever had was my son's former hockey coach, who I worked for free for 3 months. After that point, he referred me to the owner of a local gym, and from there, the business snowballed. In late 2009, I found out that I had breast cancer. And having lost my mother to this disease when she was only 43 years old, I was always on top of my checkups. A mammogram actually discovered the cancer when it was very, very small and had not spread. Even so, I chose to do a double mastectomy and reconstruction. And to this day, I'm still thankful that I made that decision. And I've been breast cancer free for over 8 years now. After healing, I joined 2 genetic research studies in hopes of contributing information that will help others by providing researchers with information to help find a cure for this disease. My genetic testing results showed a variance of unknown significance in a gene that's tied to both breast and ovarian cancer. Now, a variance is not a defect, it's a difference that the researchers have yet to determine the validity of. And that being said, I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer in late 2013. Once again, the cancer was caught very early. I had another very major surgery, but have been cancer free ever since. So I think I'm at about 4 years now with the ovarian cancer. I'm basically the poster child for early detection. And cancer teaches you that you are way stronger than you ever imagined. Maybe the most important skill you could ever learn in your entire life. Over the years, Fox social media has been a blessing. I have some really awesome clients that have also become friends. I have been asked to train social media managers at small companies, and I even was asked to guest lecture at a prominent local university. I've run the social media operations for businesses in health, law, education, sports, charity, nonprofit, fitness, fashion, TV and film production, talent management, online retail, magazine publication, solar energy, and more than that. That's just what I can think of off the top of my head. I love this job. It's fun. It's creative, and I get to work from home and I can control my schedule. And those are two very important things to me. So I continue to educate myself every day between books and YouTube videos and just learning from others as well. And one of the things that I've also done is in the last, I'd say, year and a half or so, I've also learned a lot more about sales and e-commerce. And I actually have a Amazon store that I have recently opened. I have 2 products that I've private labeled, and I've also done retail arbitrage as well. So that's a whole new set of skills that I've learned. I've been fortunate that I had the social media skills already and know how to do advertising, so that helped quite a bit. But I also have had an eBay store for, oh my gosh, probably 12 years now. And I've sold, I think, over maybe $16,000, $17,000 worth of products in that time frame, just as a little side gig. So there's a lot of benefit to that as well. In addition, I do a little bit of affiliate marketing just for products that I believe in, because it has to be something that I would use or believe in, or I won't recommend it to others. Although it sounds like a lot of hats to wear, it's really not. It's just I'm combining all the skills that I've developed over the years into my own personal business model. And it's amazing how well they all integrate together. It's very similar to having a 9-to-5 job and just working on different tasks throughout the day. Being an entrepreneur is the only job that allows you to work from yourself, control your schedule, and work from home. And those are huge to me. It also gives me the chance to do what I love, have multiple streams of income so that we're never relying on just one of them, and to not have a cap on what I can earn. A regular job would, maybe you get a 3 to 5% raise a year, and that's good. That's when you're having a great year. So entrepreneurship is definitely the way to go, and everything in my background has really led me to this point. We've all built up skill sets over the years, and sometimes it just takes going through the exercise of writing them all down like I did. Write down your personal history. What jobs have you had? What events have you been through in your life? What situations have you persevered through? And then write down all the skills that you learned from those jobs, those experiences, those situations you've been through. I hope that hearing my story helps you and motivates you and gives you kind of an idea of how to do the same thing and figure out what your personal business model looks like. When you combine all your skill sets, what does that look like? Comment below and let me know.